Backstitching in leather is one of the small details that can drastically affect the look of your project. Today, I'll go over 3 techniques to achieve the best looking stitches possible. If you're new to sewing, backstitching or backtacking is what prevents your stitches from unraveling. When backstitching leather, you have to be extra careful since it creates permanent holes in the workpiece. So here are 3 techniques you might want to try for yourself. My preferred method is to sew in reverse. To do this, pull down the feed regulator lever on the easy set stitch length plate. Fine-tune the thumb screws to ensure both forward and reverse stitches are of equal length. You can regulate the stitch length by loosening the thumb screws and adjusting them up or down. To increase the stitch length, move the thumb screws further from the midpoint of the plate. To shorten the stitches, position the thumb screws closer to the midpoint. While there are guidelines for reference, your adjustments may vary slightly once you achieve equal forward and reverse stitch length. For example, the top screw might be at the 3rd notch, while the bottom screw might be closer to the 4th one. Now let's go through the whole process of backstitching using the reverse function of the machine. Lower the presser foot, sink the needle into the leather, and grab those loose threads. Sew forward for 3 stitches and pause when the needle rises about 1/8 of an inch. When the needle is on its way back up, we know it's completed that knot. Now pull the lever all the way down, putting the machine in reverse, and slowly begin backstitching. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, is to pay close attention to make sure the needle is landing in those existing holes. Once we have completed the 3 backstitches, release the lever and continue sewing forward. When starting a stitch line, I prefer starting in reverse, sewing 2 to 3 stitches, then securing them by sewing forward and continuing the line. This method avoids the bulkiness of 3 layers of thread. This technique is a bit more difficult, but it might be something you can practice as you learn your machine. I discussed this technique and other important topics such as thread size, needle size, and tension in our leather sewing essentials video, and that's right here. And these are all things that can also affect the look of your backstitching. The second technique for backstitching is incredibly simple. When you reach the end of your seam, sink your needle and rotate the balance wheel until the needle has risen about 1/4 inch. Lift the presser foot and rotate the piece 180 degrees, then drop the presser foot and sew forward to lock those stitches. This method means you never have to worry about putting the machine in reverse, and you'll have both hands available since you don't have to hold the lever. There are some limitations though. Larger items are impossible to turn 180 degrees because they wouldn't fit through the throat of the machine. However, if you're working on a small item and sewing in reverse scares you, this is the easiest technique. Another technique that does not require sewing in reverse is what I would call the pull-through method. To do this, sew 3 stitches as normal, but just before the needle pierces the leather on that 4th stitch, raise the presser foot and pull the leather towards you to position the needle over the previous stitch hole. Then lower the presser foot and complete that stitch. And then repeat that process until you reach the starting point, then sew forward as usual. And here are 3 quick tips for backstitching. The number of backstitches should be determined by the amount of strength you need. 3 to 4 is the standard amount, but you may want to do more if the seam you're sewing is going to be under a lot of stress. Fewer backstitches typically looks better, so I often just do 1 or 2. If it's a decorative seam on something like a coaster, that's not going to be under much stress. Second, the thickness of your leather you're sewing will also affect the stitch length. If you're sewing something like a 2 to 3 ounce piece and then start sewing a 12 ounce piece, just run a quick test to see if you need to make any slight adjustments to the reverse thumb screw. And third, the smaller the thread size, the better the backstitching will look, especially on the back side of the piece. If you have any questions about these techniques, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to answer them. And don't forget to subscribe for project inspiration and tutorials that'll help you get the most out of your sewing machine. I'll see you next time.